get going. All right, we are streaming. Hi, everyone. Welcome to eLearnChat. And we're here today with two very nice British people from the UK. Actually, one is not British, one is Scottish. The other one is British. And she's actually a Brexit. She left Britain quite a while ago, lived in Germany, and now lives in the US. And then we've got the Emma Peel of eLearning with us right now. I think I accidentally coined that term, but I like it. We're going to stick with it.
You did coin it, Rick.
Okay, good. That was a good term. You fit the part. We've got Lesley Price with us, and she is in the middle spot right there. We've got Linda Joy on the right side of the screen, and me trying to make my English sound as good as theirs. It just never will. So how are you guys doing today?
Good, thanks.
Now, we're just doing the pre-show right now. Let's go through the shots real quickly just to make sure everything's looking good. And Lesley, as we start, we're going to talk. We have the video from Learn Appeal. If you'd like to show that, we can show it again.
Okay,
the one you did, I think it's about for 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good introduction to what Learn Appeal is. That's Lesley's current project, and she has quite a passion for it too. And you'll learn about it on the show. It's really quite interesting. And I think we're good, right? All the shots are good. All right, so we are going. Everybody sound level good?
Yeah, mine sounds okay. Do I sound okay to you?
Yes, you sound great, Emma.
And Linda, can we do a quick sound check on you?
Now I'm going to say Emma instead of Lesley.
No,
Emma.
you mustn't do that.
Okay, everyone is good. So I know you're gonna get stuck with that. You do realize now the Emma Peel of eLearning.
What am I going to do about that?
I just wish I knew where it came from, apart from out of your mouth.
Well, okay. Remember, Colin Steed said you were his Emma Peel, or you said you were his Emma Peel.
No, I certainly didn't say it, but Colin Steed might have done.
And when he said that, I thought she's the Emma Peel of eLearning. That just came out the other day, and I go, did I say that, or did he say that? I think I said it. Yeah, I like it. It's a good one. But you are Lesley Price, ultimately foremost and firstmost. So here we go. Let's see. Let's switch to the Lyndon eye shot. And we are here. So let's start the show recording in 3, 2, and 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge. I am joined today by the very talented Linda Joy. Hey, Linda, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Hello, everyone.
And you know, we've been doing several shows with Linda already, and I've really never brought out. Linda is a voiceover talent, among other things, but she has done a lot of e-learning voice work. She's done acting. She's done cartoons and other things. She's very multi-talented in the area of narration, books, e-learning, and acting. So if you ever need anybody who does voiceover and has a wonderful British accent, because that's her native accent. Oh, she also does German too. Very fluent in German. So she does English and German. Linda, right there. Is it lindajoy.com? lindajoyvo.com, right?
Yes, lindajoyvo.com, lindajoyvoiceover.com.
Yep.
Thanks, Rick.
Oh, you're welcome. And today we've got, well, we could call her the Emma Peel of eLearning. For all of those who are old enough to remember who Emma Peel is, you'll go, really? Emma Peel of eLearning? I like that. But for those who don't, she's Lesley Price. She is quite a gifted training, e-learning facilitator, and she has a very passionate project she wants to talk a little bit about. But first, let's run our intro. We are back. And joining us today is Lesley Price. Lesley, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Rick. Nice to be here.
Oh, we're so glad you could make it.
Hi, Lesley.
Hi, Linda. Nice to see you.
Now, Lesley, I know I jokingly call you the Emma Peel of eLearning, but that's only because you were sort of the sidekick helper to Colin Steed, who runs the Learning and Performance Institute.
Yes, that's right. Colin and I worked together for about 2.5 years, but we've known each other quite a long time before that.
Yep.
And Colin has actually become a very good friend and did all the video recording for my daughter's wedding last year.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I only met him last year, and I really enjoyed meeting him. We have to have him on the show very soon. He's been very busy.
Oh, you should. You should.
So soon we will have him on. And he has his own show. What is it called?
Learning Now TV.
Learning Now TV. And it's a really good show. If you have a chance, go to it, learningnow.tv. It's a great show with some great content, very good interviews. So Lesley, you have been up to a lot of stuff. You recently kind of retired, early retirement, I should say. But that just means you're working harder than ever now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a bit of a standing joke in the community. I took early retirement because I could. I'd worked in the public sector for a long, long time and was fortunate enough that I could then just take a step back and think, I've had a wonderful career. I was quite ill when I was in my early 30s, and I just thought, now it's time to give back, and Learn Appeal has given me that opportunity to help disadvantaged people make the best use of learning technologies.
It's really quite unique. Let's see, if I could ask you a favor, if you could lower your camera just a tad so that you go up, because we don't want your lower third in your face. And you know what? Before we go into what Learn Appeal is, let's actually show a little video of what Learn Appeal is. Do you want to show the video, Clark? Here we go.
Technology-enabled learning should be providing better education for everyone, yet very often those who need it the most are the very people for whom it remains a distant dream. We believe that has to change, and with your help, we believe it can. Today, our old technology is being recycled across the developing world. The intention? To connect excluded communities to the huge repository of knowledge that exists on the web. Yet many of those communities have no internet access or even mains electricity, meaning that while they have the tools for using online learning, they are unable to access it. This is where the Learn Appeal capsule comes in. The capsule has been designed to take learning to areas that lack even the most basic infrastructure. Running off an internal battery, it transmits a signal that can be received by any nearby device, even without an internet connection. Connecting learners to a learning management system that could be preloaded with literally any content, from vocational skills to basic health and safety, giving even the most disadvantaged learners a fighting chance at changing their lives. Learn Appeal already has a number of projects up and running, both abroad and at home. In the UK, we are working with Bernardo's, using the capsules to help young people access targeted learning in a safe environment. In Malawi, we're helping disadvantaged young people build entrepreneurial skills and grow the local economy. There are so many people we can help, so many places where learning can make a difference, but we need your support. All kinds of donations are welcome. We are not only seeking help with funding, we'd love to hear from anyone willing to donate their time and expertise, especially experts in learning and learning technology. Donations of learning content are also hugely valuable, whether that's off-the-shelf vocational content or bespoke content that can be created to support a specific project. Please join us as we bring a brighter future to young people and adults all around the world. Together, we really can make a difference.
That's really it's a very nice video, and you know, right now none of us could hear that. You can hear it in the audience if you're watching live, but we can't, because if we open the audio for us to hear it, it creates too much latency, and so we don't. If it was just Linda and I, we could do it because we're close enough, but you start getting 5,000-6,000 miles away, latency hits, and you'd have about a 2 to 3 second lag time, which is kind of long. Lesley, how'd you get involved with?
Helps to get a visual on the capsule.
Yes.
And we should mention that the capsule will be at the Training, Learning and Development Conference in San Diego in October.
Yeah, October 3rd through 5th. That should be a lot of fun. It's at the Hyatt in San Diego. And it should be a very, very nice show. Lesley, unfortunately, can't make that show, but Brent Shalenko is one of your ambassadors.
Yes, that's correct. Brent actually came over to the UK in January, and he was supporting us at the Learning Technologies Conference, and Litmus is our first US supporter. So Brent is going to be coming back to the UK to go to Learning Live in September, and he's going to be taking back a capsule with him so that people can connect to it when they're actually at the conference and see how it works. See for themselves, see it in anger.
Yep, that is wonderful.
Yeah. Nice.
Lesley, how did you wind up ever getting into e-learning or training in the first place?
Oh, it's a bit of a long story. I've always had a complete and utter fascination for technology. My dad used to let me go into his office when I was a youngster, and I used to talk to all the punch card operators and the telex operators, and thought, oh, I would really like to do this. This is something I would want to do. And when I finished school, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do, but I still love technology. And in about 1974, I got a job working for, maybe 75, got a job working for the Prudential Assurance Company, and I operated a computer, which was in essence an electric golf ball typewriter with two tape discs.
Yep.
The old cassette tapes that you used to get. So two of these, one had the data, one had the software on it, and I ran it for the investments. Then thought, oh, quite like this technology thing. Went to university. When I left, I then went to work for what was then International Computers, ICL. But it was very different times then to what it is now, in that if you were working on computers, unless you were putting in a new installation, you could only work in the evenings or weekends,
Right.
because people didn't want their systems being down during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And I thought, this is not really the life for a 22 or 23-year-old. So I did other things, then had children, but still loved computers and technology. And in about 1985, I started working in further education. I think in the US you call it community education.
Mm-hmm.
I know in Australia it's called vocational, VET it's called,
Right.
vocational education. And started using computers to help students, but that was long before the days of the internet. So I was making worksheets for them. I was doing all little exercises they could do. It made my life easier because I didn't have to use a Banda machine. Does anybody remember Banda machines? The smell?
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and then when the internet was invented in the early 1990s, I was very fortunate. The college I was at was very next to a very large university, Loughborough University, and they were put on the Janet network very early. The college then connected to it. So we had internet in the college probably from about 1995. Really quite early, 1996. And then I just started using it with my students. So I would create web quests, because in vocational education, you've got it's mixed ability classes that you've got. So in the same class, you've got maybe very bright kids, and you've got kids that are middle of the road, and you've got kids that need help and support. And if you've got 30 of them in a group, how do you support all of them at the same time? So what I started doing was little exercises that some of them could go and do one thing, and then I would work with another group, and then another group could do something else, and then we would all come together. So it was almost like what they now call a flipped classroom before you even called it a flipped classroom,
Yep.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And
Interesting.
by the way, the Banda machine is, I think we call that a mimeograph, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
that's
yeah,
it.
the same machine, right? Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And they did smell. You'd get out of there with a headache usually.
Yeah, you got high on the
Yeah,
smell of
it was bad. I remember using those in high school, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh God. That's what we had. There were no copiers really that
Nope.
were technology. If you think about it, You know, you mentioned 95, 96. I remember in 1995, that's when we got our very first website. It
Yeah.
had maybe 2 pages, and our first emails in 95. And everybody said, what's an email? We used private servers to do messaging with each other, like forums almost. But there
Yeah.
was no real email until right around the mid-90s.
No, there was
And
nothing.
how time has changed, hasn't it?
Oh, but you say that. Last year, I wrote a chapter in a book for another trustee of Learn Appeal, who's also a friend and a colleague, and I called it "Times They Are a Changing or Not."
Or not.
And I look back over the last, since the late 1990s, and think how much has time actually changed? Because in 98, 99, I implemented the college's first virtual learning environment, what in workplace learning you would call a learning management system. And we did it based on a Lotus Notes platform, which included social collaboration, included discussion forums. I was cutting down videos, making them down into 30-second, 1-minute chunks. And yet now people are still saying that this is new. It's not new.
No, it's true. And, I've said that for years. I don't know if they're just compensating or what, but they keep saying it's a new industry. No, the only thing that's really new is the hardware is a lot
Yeah.
faster than it used to be. The software isn't. In fact, software has become a lot less optimized. But hardware is so fast, you can write crummy software and it looks fast. And that's what's changed. But other than that, I remember working on e-learning, if you will, with IBM mainframes in the mid 1970s, and they considered that new back then. That's a long time ago. That's still 20 years earlier than what they considered new in 95, and that was just green screen. There was no interactivity. Well, there was some interactivity, but there was no media. You couldn't play sound. You couldn't play video. You couldn't do video anywhere in a computer in those days. So,
But then after that, there came about what they called interactive video. So you had interactive video labs, and they worked on great big sort of 12-inch laser discs.
yes.
And back in these days, we called it CBT, computer-based training.
Right. And now it's WBT, web-based training.
Yeah.
But, they changed one letter.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll make it next. NBT, neural-based training. They just implant you and you're connected.
They've been saying that's going to happen for years.
I know, and I hope it doesn't. I think that's over-connecting. And plus, I think how many brains will they burn out till they get the impedance just right? Ah, there we go. We need another Timmy. I don't know.
And so, that's where I got involved. I then started running what they called eLearning in the college. I then worked on a regional basis. I was then sort of headhunted, if you want to call it that, and went to work for a government agency in the UK called Becta. I started off in vocational education, then got into work-based learning, because the same issues that face people in vocational education are actually very similar to in work-based learning. So the problem is getting the senior management involved, getting staff up and running, getting them trained, because most of all the younger people coming through actually had an understanding of it and wanted to use it. And very often we're now still seeing that in work-based learning with what they're now calling, in inverted commas, the millennials coming through. They expect it. But the people who run the companies and, the IT staff are still very, very wary about what they should include and what they shouldn't include. So one of my job roles I used to say I was a translator. So I would translate between the IT team and the users. And to be honest, I don't think an awful lot of that has changed.
No, not really. Not really. Of all the things you've done in the training, learning, school, community, government, what were some of your favorites?
Oh gosh, that's a really hard one. Apart from the project that I'm doing at the moment, which I obviously love, I think when the penny started to drop with learners, that they actually became more demanding. So they wanted more. They wanted to chat more. They wanted more freedom. And then you got the IT people going, it's all too risky. You know, you can't let them do that. So you know, that was really enjoyable. Getting involved with some of the quite innovative projects that we did, that more often than not, people never realised that the government agency was actually involved in work-based learning. But it was through that I made all my contacts that I've now got in work-based learning. So seeing things that were happening on the sort of the bleeding edge has actually been quite interesting as well. Seeing some of the things that have worked, but also some of the things that haven't worked.
Right. It is a lot of fun. Now, I know Linda had some questions for you about some of the things you were doing.
Yes, I mean, what fascinated me reading about what you did and about your background is how you not only translated to the IT department, but that you had this three-prong approach to get everybody on board. So it was almost like you had the foresight of connecting your love of technology with your ability to teach and your love to teach, but you also had to be the facilitator and bring everybody on board, and that is yet again another skill set.
It is a skill set, and it's actually a skill set, believe it or not, that I learned from my mother and my father. My father was quite successful in business, but he always said that my mum was his wonderful number two, because she took time to listen to what people were saying. And I think listening is that is part of that skill. It's not just networking, it's actually listening and then thinking, oh, where can I join the dots? There's some dots here that need to be joined, and I might not be the person that knows how to do it, but in the UK there used to be an ad on the TV that talked about the AA man, that I maybe don't know how to do it, but I know a man who can. And that's always the way that I've viewed things, always the way that I've done things my whole career. And I think giving credit to other people is also incredibly important.
Absolutely.
So it's fine if when you're a manager you can be a bit nosy, but you've got to let people get on with what they're doing and then give them credit and let them shine, because it's letting them shine that you can then sit back and say, yes, I've done that. Haven't they grown as individuals?
Yes, yes. And that really completes that bringing people together, because then truly people start to work together to a common goal when you've really just pointed out their strengths and you let them know you are working with their strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's incredibly important. I mean, I'm very, very privileged that I'm still in touch with so many people that I've worked with going back, years and years and years. Even some people who were very junior in the organization, that didn't actually matter to me. And the other thing I think I learned is that technology is great and it's all very easy to send emails to everyone, but it's also very important to floor walk and pick up the phone and just call someone. Just take the time to talk to people, not copying the world in an email.
Yes, yes. And you've carried that over into what you're now doing, Learn Appeal, to, for me, and even yet another level where you speak about the content of the e-learning things now with the capsule has to be in context. So there again, you're teaching, but you equally look at the context of things. So that to me is kind of you've bridged your way up to that, and I think it's very important to the countries that you're going into with the capsule, that you look at the context.
Context is, no matter what kind of learning you're involved in, to me, it's not just the content that is king, it's the context that is king. And if you take things out of context, whether it be in education, whether it be in workplace learning, or whether it be with what we're doing with the capsule, unless people can relate to what they're doing and can actually see something that's valuable within the content, so that the context is right for them, then all they're going to do is switch off, because it's not relevant.
Yeah, and part of the key there is is it relevant to them?
Exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of people think, okay, I put it in context, maybe for the corporation or for the government entity or whatever, but that doesn't mean it's in context for the people learning it, so that they have a clue where their role is in what they're learning.
Yeah, I talk about it as being the WIFM, the what's in it for me. So there has to be, it's fine within an organisation, there's got to be a what's in it for them for senior management, but there's also got to be a what's in it for them for the learners, so that they can see very quickly that they can benefit from what they're doing. And that's why they don't want to sit through, 30 minutes or half an hour on a video of compliance training.
Right. They're so much fun. I don't know why
I've
anybody would
recorded
want
a
to
lot
miss
of
that.
those. They're long to sit through.
Yeah.
What
But
countries
if you can do
with Learn
something
Appeal?
that's very relevant, and you can point out to people, so if you're doing compliance training, if you can do like branching scenarios learning, so people can see not just what happens when they do something right, but why they're actually learning it. So what would be the consequences be if they actually make a wrong decision? Then that's context, and that's context that's relevant.
Yes. Yeah, it's not like going down the straight corridor of, wrong. You really, they learn through their mistakes.
Yes.
What countries are you in with Learn Appeal, Lesley?
At the moment, we're just at the very, very early stages. So we've identified pilots in the UK working with Bernardo's, and in Africa we're going to be working in South Africa, in Kenya, and in Malawi, and potentially also Tanzania.
Nice. Can you explain why it's important in the UK? I mean, you talk about third world countries, but the UK, why is it important there?
Well, with the issue with Bernardo's is that very often, if you're in drop-in centres, and this wouldn't just apply to Bernardo's, it would apply to quite a lot of charities, they're working with very vulnerable people. And they don't necessarily want to open up free Wi-Fi access to their communities in the drop-in centre. Because if you open up free Wi-Fi access, you don't know whether the people that are in the centres really understand the importance of internet safety. And they also probably wouldn't be able to use their own devices, because there's so many security issues regarding own devices. So that's one of the reasons, and also because we can then do targeted learning with them. So with Bernardo's, we're going to be looking at things like internet safety. When you log into a Wi-Fi hotspot, people very often don't realise how much detail you actually give to the provider of that Wi-Fi hotspot. Very often they'll actually put apps on your phone without you even knowing that that's what they've done. So it's about it being safe and secure, and without the threat of external access from maybe, how can I put it, maybe not so quite, can't think of the word, individuals that you might not want to have access to vulnerable people.
Right. And that's true. Most people don't realize if you go to a Starbucks, which has unsecured Wi-Fi, and people go, this is great, I'm going to go work at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you're also going to risk something there, because
Yeah.
you're right. You don't know what's coming on and what they can pull off your machine, which is quite a bit.
Yeah, they
Risky,
can, and people don't realise that.
No.
And I think that's why it's important, particularly if we're working with the target community of Bernardos, which is young people, that we're able to teach them how to use the internet in a very safe way. But we're also going to be working with them on how you apply for jobs, how you do CV writing skills, job interview skills, just different things that will actually help them progress and improve their life chances.
That's great.
Yes.
So Lesley, what's next for Learn Appeal?
Oh, next thing is getting the content sorted out. I've sent out an email to people today asking them to commit to what content they're going to be looking at and when they're going to be completing it, because as well as being supported by the Training, Learning and Development Conference in San Diego, we're being supported by the Learning Performance Institute, which Colin is involved with. And that conference is taking place in September. And there's another conference in October, the World of Learning Conference and Exhibition, that are also supporting us. And we want to then have some kind of evidence and get the pilots up and running really before the sort of middle of November. And I'm just back from South Africa, actually on holiday, and I could maybe tell you a little story about when I was there. That I did although I was on holiday, I did some unofficial research with some people who were waiters, waitresses, front of house people in hospitality and tourism, and I asked them what access they had to learning, and they kind of looked a bit blank. And then I said, oh, what about e-learning? They said, well, yeah, we had stuff like that at school. And I said, well, what about now? How do you improve your skills now? And again, they just said, oh, well, it's when we can get work, but unemployment is very high in South Africa. And I then showed them a little video of the video that you've shown of the Learn Appeal capsule. Yes. And then they said to me, oh, but how much is it going to cost? And I said, well, we hope to put it into community centres or churches and schools, and it'll be free. And their response was actually so humbling, because they actually started clapping and singing and dancing and going whoop, whoop, whoop. When's it coming? Which kind of makes you think, and that South Africa is a relatively developed country, right. And you've got people there who are saying, and we can look at this on our phones. We'll be able to learn on our phones. And then some of them were saying, God is so good. God is so good. This is what's going to happen to us. It really was quite humbling.
And it is device responsive, so anybody can connect then to the capsule.
It's totally and utterly device responsive. So any mobile phone or tablet that's got a Wi-Fi enabled feature on it will be able to access learning. Once we've got it in place, we'll be able to access learning free of charge.
And those who connect to the capsule will also basically be able to carry on a conversation, put a question out there, and then the next person that connects to the capsule can maybe answer it, or so you have that aspect of learning from your mistakes too.
Yeah, absolutely. The people who've developed it, Appeteer, Wes Atkinson and Darryl Headley of Appeteer, have put on a community collaboration forum, sort of functionality on it, and really when you connect to it, I hope you'll both be able to see it when it's at the conference in San Diego, but when you're on it you really would think you were on the internet. So if you're looking at a video about or a lesson about chickens, for example, and you say, oh, I've got a real problem with my chickens don't have any feathers, and you could take a photograph of your chickens, you can put a question up and say, does anybody have this problem with chickens and feathers, and what do I do about it? The next person that connects to the capsule will be able to go on and will be able to answer it. And what we also want to do, we're very keen that certainly the pilots we're working with, and what we want to do in future is to work with other charities or NGOs or education authorities, so that there will be a moderator, so that there will be a facilitator who can help facilitate that discussion. So we're not simply just leaving it to learners. We want somebody then to take responsibility. And it may be that it ends up that it's a learner that takes responsibility. And that will be absolutely fine.
Yes, yes. Can you mention again, Lesley, where to go to in the Training, Learning and Development Conference in San Diego? Who to go to look at the capsule?
Yeah, well, the person who's going to have the capsule is Brent Schlenker of Litmus. But Patty Shank is also very aware of the capsule and the work we've been doing and is a great supporter. And Trish Yule has also seen it in action. I can't remember. I'm looking to see on the plan who else is going to be there. I think Tom Spiglanen is going to be speaking at the event. Well, Tom is also going to be at Learning Live in September, so he will also have seen it in action. So there'll be quite a few people, I think, that are going that will have seen it working, but certainly Brent will have one, if not two, capsules with him.
That's great. It'll be a lot of fun for all of us to see it in action, and
Yes.
all the people you mentioned I know well, and they're all great people.
Leading up to the conferences coming up now, you have a campaign going, #MakeADifference and #MakeAModule.
Yes, that's correct. We're going to be doing some press releases about that. The idea is we want to get as many people as possible involved. So the hashtag will be Make a Difference, Make a Module, Make a Difference. And then everybody who does that, who signs up and actually commits and completes a module, is going to be the lucky owner of a Learn Appeal mug that says, made a module, made a difference. And what we then want to do is to get people to take selfies, and we're going to have a rogues gallery on the Learn Appeal website, and hopefully that will also get promoted on the other conference websites, so that people can, say, I've done it. I'm one of the people that's made a difference.
Nice. So you really are asking people to donate their expertise, their time,
Yep.
and content
Yep.
to Learn Appeal.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If people can help us, we've got lots and lots of PDFs, we've got lots and lots of video, which is on DVDs that we need translated, we need made into device responsive content, because that's something that's really important, that it is device responsive. We cannot make assumptions about the technology that they will have in these developing countries. So we can't say, oh, this will suit an iPad or this will suit a Kindle. It has to be device responsive. Mm-hmm. So the team at Appeteer have actually given us access. Anybody who wants to create content from scratch can actually use their content authoring tool, Evolve. They're donating that free of charge to anybody who wants to support Learn Appeal. But it doesn't have to be written in Evolve. It can be any software application, content authoring tool, which is device responsive, but it does have to be device responsive, because the last thing we want is people, turning up at a church or a community centre and they go to look at it and it doesn't work.
Right.
Yes.
Well, Lesley, this is it's quite a venture for you. It's really, really pretty nice. And maybe we'll call you the angel of eLearning. So you're going to be the MVP and the angel of eLearning. It's good to see that kind of passion in someone. But we appreciate you.
I'm not the only angel. There's plenty of people. Our board of trustees are absolutely fantastic. And I say, if people don't feel that they can create content themselves, well, maybe somebody else in their organisation can, or maybe they're an e-learning vendor that have content that they would be willing to share. I've got a priority list from Kenya that's got about 300 items on it that they say we need it and we need it now. And it's vocational content that is relevant, that's so important, that's not full of all the health and safety stuff that we have to contend with in the UK and the US.
That's great. It's always exciting to see somebody with passion that's actually doing things like this. And it's a great project. It's something, and you've got a very large community of people who could use it.
Yeah, I mean, although we're only starting with these 4 pilots, we're working with another charity called The Brook, who are going to be helping us create content for equine care. Now, most of you probably wouldn't realise, but most of the clothes that you're wearing, or even pieces of furniture that you've got in the house, or food that you've got in the house, an awful lot of it comes from countries and places where they absolutely depend on horses and donkeys. But if you don't look after your horses and donkeys, then they go lame, then they're not productive. So looking after horses and donkeys is actually really important.
Right.
Even to the clothes that we wear in the West, and we just don't realise it.
It's true. It's true. It's and not everybody has big semi trucks like we do, and there's a lot of parts of the world, a lot of parts in India where they make half the clothing made in the world is made in India, and they're not always modern plants. Some of them are, some aren't, and it is pretty interesting that the supply chain is very different from what we're used to. So, well, Lesley, as always, it's been a real pleasure having you on and learning a little bit more about you. Now you know who the Emma Peel of eLearning is, as well as one of the angels of eLearning. And we wish you the best. And I definitely will look at the capsule and try to cover it when we're at the show. We're going to be streaming live from the show, so we'll try to definitely give it some publicity while we're out there.
Oh, that would be absolutely fantastic, because we really want this to be sort of a worldwide thing. And I think what is also fantastic is that when you look at the conferences that are now supporting us, it's that people have put behind the competition element of the different conferences. So Learning Live are supporting us, Training, Learning and Development Conference are supporting us, World of Learning in the UK are supporting us, Learning Technologies in the UK are supporting us. In terms of our trustees, we've got Learning Technologies Group, which is one of the biggest e-learning companies, but also on our board of trustees is the managing director of City and Guilds Kineo. Normally these organisations would be competing against each other, but they're not. They're coming together to support Learn Appeal, and I think that's the message that we really want to get out there. It's about us all working together, whether you're in a big company, whether you're in a small company, whether you're on a vendor side, whether you're, a purchaser of a corporate user of e-learning. It's everybody working together.
Great. Well, Lesley, again, a pleasure having you on today. Linda, as always, and...
Great meeting you, Lesley, and thank you so much for introducing Learn Appeal more, or explaining more about it to us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
If you're watching the show...
Really appreciate the support you give us.
Lesley, how can people get a hold of you?
They can either find me on Twitter. I'm Lesley W. Price, at Lesley W. Price on Twitter, or they can email me at leslie.price@learnappeal.com. I'm on these things quite a lot. I'm also on LinkedIn. They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to think how else. The Learn Appeal website, all my contact details are on the Learn Appeal website.
Sounds good. So thanks again, and if you're watching the show, please subscribe, give us your feedback, and definitely get a hold of Lesley and learn more about Learn Appeal. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks very much. Bye.